Good morning. Welcome to Walking Boxing. It is Sunday, September the 21st, 2025. And I don't know where Spring's gone because she's a little bit, spitting. It's chilly, it's overcast, but I'm sure it's on its way. We've had some okay days, but today's a little bit miserable. But what wasn't miserable was yesterday's footy. I think it was twilight or yesterday? I think it was. The grand final is set. Geelong versus Brisbane in the AFL grand final. Well done to Brisbane yesterday, who beat Collingwood. Just a great game. Two great preliminary finals. I'm talking for the AFL fans here. So if you're an NRL fan, I'm sorry I haven't watched any of your finals games, but I'm sure the excitement will be just as high. But for us AFL fans, 196,000 people went to both games. And like it or not, facts are facts, confirms it is Australia's #1 undisputed sport. So there you go. For all those that don't like AFL, facts are facts. 196,000 people, what's that, an average of 98,000 to both games. Just amazing. And yes, it's only played in Australia, but AFL fans couldn't give a shit. It is the #1 sport, and just like the NFL in America, they don't care whether it's not played internationally either. It's their game, and they love it. It's America's game. Well, the AFL is Australia's game. All right, I've just upset all the NRL fans out there, but we'll keep on going. Hey, I like your game too. I don't watch a lot of it, but I admire the athletes and obviously a lot of people like the sport, so there must be something good about it. But if you're born in the southern states, you are AFL through and through, just like the northern states are NRL. Anyway, enough of that. We're on to the boxing. On this day, back in, where are we? 1983, Puerto Rico's Carlos de Leon. Very underrated fighter back in the day. He was a world cruiserweight champion. He defended that WBC title by knocking out Mexico's Alvaro Lopez in the 4th round. That was in San Jose, California. In 1985, Julio Cesar Chavez defeated Dwight Pratchett in Las Vegas for the world super featherweight title. And actually, where was it? Was it Las Vegas? I think it might have been Atlantic City. I can't remember. It doesn't actually say. I should know that, shouldn't I? Michael Spinks became the first ever light heavyweight champion to move up to heavyweight and defeat a heavyweight champion. He beat Larry Holmes by 15-round decision and took the IBF heavyweight title. I remember this fight. I know what was I? 11, I think I was. I still remember this fight. It was on the news. Of course, we couldn't watch fights live back then. We had to wait for the magazines to come out 3 months later. But I remember they had it on the Channel 7 News saying that Spinks had beaten Holmes, and I was just flabbergasted, even as an 11-year-old. Actually, it might have been whatever I was. But just a true upset in the truest form. It really was. No one gave Spinks a chance. Holmes was going for the 49-0 to equal Rocky Marciano's record. Again, I don't go by records. I couldn't give a shit what people's records are. I go by the fights they've had and the fights they've won, not records. But anyway, it was a big thing at the time. Larry Holmes, it was 48-0, went for 49-0. Look, probably was looked to sort of go for an easier touch to get that 49-0, although at that stage there wasn't really anyone else around. He probably cleaned out the heavyweight division, and I'm just trying to think if there's anyone he hadn't fought, and there probably wasn't. Mike Tyson had just turned pro. He was on the way through, but they would fight 3 years later. But at that stage, as I said, he probably saw this as a easy touch. Spinks went up, did it the right way. It was probably a little bit of the modern age. Canelo and Crawford was probably the modern age version of this, if that makes sense. Spinks went up, no one gave him a shot. He did go up probably about 30 pounds, so it's probably a little bit more than what Terence went up, but he did it like an athlete. Didn't just bulk the weight on. He put the weight on naturally, and when he got in the ring, hadn't lost any of his speed or agility or anything like that. And he really outworked Larry Holmes and was probably not a good opponent in hindsight for Larry Holmes, with someone that was as slick as Michael Spinks at that age of his life, or that stage of his career. So that's what happened in 1985. They would fight a year later, and the same result. Larry Holmes came out like a wrecking ball and threw Michael Spinks to the canvas, and probably won the first 3 or 4 rounds by aggression. And then once the fight settled, this was a 15-rounder, by the way. And then Michael Spinks sort of settled, sort of evened the score as he went. Came home pretty hard. Won the last couple of rounds and won, what was at the time a disputed decision, but I thought he'd done enough. So that was the Michael Spinks and Larry Holmes rivalry. And Michael Spinks actually was at the expo on the weekend, but we missed him. Unfortunately, he was already gone. He's there every year. So I have met him before, and a really, really lovely man. He is Michael Spinks. So again, that's what happened on this day. All right, let's get into the news now. Look, the last sort of week or so, it's all been about Tim and the departure from his team. Look, I won't go over it too much, but the more I've thought about it in the last couple of days, the more I sort of think that, geez, out of them all, and I've been pretty vocal about what Tim should do and the right decisions to be made, but I've got to tell you, I've got a feel for Glenn Jennings, and I know a lot of people will have no sympathy for him whatsoever. They think he's mismanaged Tim's career, but I'm sorry, I just don't see it that way. I agree with the trainer side of things. Look, the cut man, that's fine, but I just think, I know they sort of come as a group. So if you get rid of one, you got to get rid of them all. But I've just been thinking about it the last couple of days, and I just think out of them all, I think Glenn Jennings has been pretty harshly done by, and not just the fact it's been done. I respect that Tim has made the call and said, look, I'm going to do what's best for me, and I really respect it, I do. But from all accounts, the way he went about it, not cool. Not cool. Of course, in the industry, everyone talks, and I've had numerous, conversations with people messaging me, little tidbits here and there, and if what I'm hearing is correct, I just think it's not the way a professional should handle these situations. That's all I'm going to say. I just think Glenn deserves a hell of a lot better. And my thing is, if no dramas, if you don't think Glenn is the man to take you forward, that's fine. But as I said, the way he's sort of gone about the whole termination thing and just pretty much kicked to the curb people, not just Glenn, but people who have, maybe especially Glenn, people that have done a lot for him, have his best interests at heart, I should say. Looked after him like a son. And I know that's not everything. It's business is business. I get that. But as I said, like the fact he's made the call is one thing. But yeah, as I said, the way he went about it is another. So anyway, that's just my 2 cents. And if you haven't met Glenn, he's one of the good guys of Australian boxing. He really is. He's such a genuine guy. He's always treated me really, really well. Sometimes, even though it's a cutthroat business, people like Glenn, they deserve a little bit better than just being just off goes their head. But anyway, that's the sport for you, and everyone does it their own way. But I will really say that I'm really glad that Nikita has stuck around. I did say, I think yesterday or the day before, that hey, just because Tim's left, what's that got to do with Nikita? Nikita's a grown man. He's his own person. He's his own. Well, he's a fighter, and he'll make his own calls. So Tim, the same, is an adult as well. He can make his calls. But I was a little bit surprised by people saying, well, geez, what's Nikita still doing if Tim's left? Nikita has got a brain in his head. I know it works in weird and wonderful ways, but he's got his own agenda, and I'm really glad that he stuck the course. Now there'll be people out there that say, oh well, he's just not going to be on the same course as what happened to Tim. Let's just break it down quickly. I don't want to go over it because everyone's had the 2 cents, including me. But just quickly, again, what I struggle to think I struggle to see where Glenn went wrong. Now, this is completely different to the in-ring team, because I 100% agree that he needs to change the in-ring team, the trainer, the cut man, all that sort of stuff. I get it. But geez, isn't a fighter, don't they want opportunities? Don't they want the big fights? Don't they want someone behind the scenes working hard for them to get them opportunities even when they might not deserve it? Well, I think Glenn Jennings has done that. No Limit have done that. They get a lot of flack, and I give them a lot as well. Don't worry about that. But I just don't see where the criticism for those, well, for No Limit and Glenn Jennings come in. You know, Tim would have been banging the fist after that first. Oh, sorry. Well, I'll backtrack a little bit. Yes, I agree. The first Fundora fight was a mistake, but I do understand that Tim's over there. It's a week and a half before the fight. He's the main event. T-Mobile Arena, Las Vegas, all the rest of it. I got no doubt he would have said, look, I don't care who it is, just get me a fight. This has to happen. And yes, the management's there to make the call, but at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure that Tim would have the final say of whether yes or no, and I've got no doubt he would have said, just put him in, I don't care, I'll beat whoever they put in front of me. But again, yes, it is a little bit not the best decision in hindsight, but I've got no doubt after that, Tim would have been saying, get me back to a big fight ASAP. All right, how about Murtazalov? He's put his hand up. Yep, just get him to me. Yeah, he was seen as a weaker champion, and you know, and history tells us that he wasn't. And then it would have been, let's get the comeback fight. And then it was lined up to fight Thurman. Then the opportunities come up for Fundora. Do you reckon Tim would have hesitated for 2 seconds to take the Fundora fight? You know, maybe there were people saying, like Glenn Jennings saying, well, mate, you know, we've got the Thurman fight. And I've got no doubt Tim would have banged his fist on the table and said, make the fight happen. So I don't understand why, again, it's all been heaped on Glenn, the fact that, you know, they took that fight. And I think in the lead up to it, a lot of people, I mean, 99% of the people I spoke to here in Australia said, oh, look what he did in the first 2 rounds of the first fight. He'll murder Fundora this time. They're the same people saying, oh, geez, what a bad manager Glenn Jennings is, and what bad promoters No Limit are. So, I don't know. I understand there's faults on both sides, but I just don't think... The one person that hasn't really received a lot of criticism in all this is Tim Tszyu. Don't forget, these guys work for Tim. And he has the final say. And just because it's gone awry, I'm not sure why they should be throwing everything at those guys. And again, I've given No Limit a lot of flack over the years, but I don't see how they could be at fault for just giving him the opportunities that he wants, that he's wanted, and Glenn there as well, treating him like a son. Again, I'll say this doesn't include the in-ring team, because 100% he should have got rid of them, and I applaud that. But I just, again, without going into it too much, I just think he's hasn't handled the situation the best. But anyway, I'm sure a lot of you out there will disagree, and that's fine. And we'll have your own opinion, and that's cool as well. But that's just mine. All right, yeah, so all that aside, we've spent nearly the whole episode just on that, even though I said we'd just quickly mention it. But anyway, other big events announced. Conor Benn, what's his name? Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr. Have announced they'll be fighting on November the 15th. Yeah, look, I did see the press conference and everything. I don't know, is it just me? I'm not that excited about it. Come here, man. Don't you go anywhere. Hang on, I'm going to try across the road here. I gotcha. Little shit. No road sense whatsoever. Just crosses the road. Doesn't even look to his right or left. Thought I taught you better than that, buddy. Anyway. Yeah, so look, the interesting thing for me is, one, is I'm not that interested in the fight. I think it'll be good. I don't think it'll be the bonanza they probably think it will, hope it will be, because I think the first fight was entertaining, but I certainly don't think it's something, a fight that everyone's been, lining up to see. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, maybe it'll be bigger than the first one, but the one thing that did stand out for me though, well, the first thing that actually was when Eddie Hearn tried to pay tribute to Ricky Hatton, and Chris Eubank Jr. kept interrupting and having his say. I'm not sure I know Chris Eubank's copped it. I'm not sure whether there was some talk behind the scenes about maybe not going into it, and he did anyway. I don't know. That's sort of what I heard. But either way, bad form for Chris Eubank. Didn't really get him off on the right foot for the promotion, but I suppose he's going to be the bad guy anyway. Or is there a bad guy in this fight? Because both of them are sort of popular with certain parts of the community, and then in other parts they're both sort of very despised, both fighters. So I'm not sure whether, I'm sure it'll be Chris Eubank Jr., but yeah, I mean, Conor Benn has his knockers as well. But that was the first thing. But then afterwards, It was asked of Ben Shalom and Eddie Hearn about the weight. Now, you remember in the first one, I think, what did Eubank give up? Nearly $1 million in penalties and all this sort of stuff, because he was a 0.05 kilos over, or pound, or whatever the hell it was. It was nothing. It might have been ounces, I don't know. But it cost him a lot of money. It really put his health in danger by trying to make that weight. And the question was asked about whether it's going to be the same, and no one knew. Eddie Hearn said, yeah, well, I'm assuming it's going to be the same. And Ben Shalom said, well, hopefully it's going to be a little bit different this time. So wouldn't you have thought that all this would have been ironed out before they had a press conference, rather than, hey, let's spend all this money on a big press conference and get it announced, but we still haven't actually worked out the particulars and signed the contracts? Well, I'm assuming they don't have a press conference until the contracts are signed. So this is one thing that really just was a little bit odd to me, that Eddie Hearn and Ben Shalom, the promoters of both guys, had differing views of where the weight is going to be at. And this is a major thing for the fight. It was a major thing in the first fight. It's going to be just as big in this fight. I would have thought, if I was negotiating on behalf of, say, Eubank Jr., because he's the one affected, to say, all right, well, we'll obviously have the catch weight and everything, but there's no rehydration clause. Maybe the percentage of the fight, maybe there's a little bit extra for Conor Benn, a little bit extra in the cut up of the purses, but in return, yes, he has to make 160, and there will be a penalty involved if he doesn't make 160. But on the flip side, there will be no rehydration clause, because I think that's the big one. That's where the danger comes into it for Eubank Jr. And that's probably where, even when you think about it, I mean, the British board over there don't allow saunas and all this stuff, and they're apparently right on to the fighters about making weight healthily and all this sort of stuff. But they allow that. I would have thought they would have stepped in and said, no, we're not allowing this. There's no rehydration clause. We're not going to sanction the fight. Something like that. We think it's too dangerous. But I don't know how it works in the British boxing, apart from the fact they're not allowed saunas, which is just ridiculous. I'm sure all the fighters do it secretly. But anyway, that just struck me as odd, that they didn't really know what was happening with the weight. So we will see. The other thing is the big Riyadh season card featuring all the Japanese fighters. What is it? The Night of the Samurai. The monster, Naoya Inoue, will fight David Picasso, which will... Look, we all thought that MJ would be a test for Inoue, and it wasn't. But Picasso's going to step in. He's, 32-0, 17 knockouts. Inoue, 31-0, 27 knockouts. But also on the card is Junto Nakatani. Now, he's going to fight Hernandez Reyes, who's 20-0 with 18 knockouts. So it's going to be a great fight, that one. Nakatani, by the way, this is at 122, not 118. He's vacated his belts there. But also on the undercard, good fight, Kenshiro Terashi, the recently dethroned champion. He's going to fight IBF super flyweight champion Baldo Garcia to become a 3-weight world champion. So that's in Riyadh on, when is it? December 27. They like the sort of Christmas or New Year's type of events, don't they, in Japan? Interesting to see how many they get over to Riyadh. An all-Japanese card in Riyadh, in Saudi Arabia. I don't know. I mean, they do travel, the Japanese, don't they? But don't know. The Canelo fight really struggled to make an impact. I'm not sure whether an all-Japanese card will, unless it's filled with Japanese fans. I'm not sure, but look, good innovation. Inoue has been the ambassador for Riyadh season for a year or so, I think it's been. So his first event on a Riyadh season card. So really, when you look at, he's going to have a couple of fights this year outside Japan, which I know he doesn't really like to do. So look, it should be great. And also, what else is there? There's the Thurman and Fundora card. I know there's been a couple of fights added to that, but still some really good fights to come before the end of the year. So that's a good thing. I'm sure there'll be a couple more. What are we, mid-September or sort of late-ish September? So we've got a couple of months anyway, and even though, speaking of Tszyu, there's still rumours that he'll fight before the end of the year, although I would probably recommend not doing that. But again, Tim's his own man, and he'll make his own calls. All right, guys. Well, I'm sure I'm going to hear about it, all about it from you guys as far as Tim and Glenn and everyone else goes. Let me have it, because again, it's just my opinion, and I'll welcome yours as well. Give me your thoughts on the Riyadh season Japanese card as well. Connor Benn and Chris Eubank, who wins? Are you even interested? Let me know, and I will do the pound for pounds of Australia and the world in the next sort of day or so too, guys. I just haven't had a chance to sort of squeeze it in yet. So guys, have a awesome Sunday, and we'll catch you tomorrow.